Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. No, this is not the mobile version like it was last week. I am actually in my home office, so we're ready and raring to go for another Humanity Happy Hour hosted by none other than Carla Fedigan, as you see here today, and of course my other great uh, co-host on her show, Sharon Kara, Sandy Chernoff. Chernoff is here with us today. Again, welcome everyone to the Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of the three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella where people can discuss topics related to the workplace and humanity in the workplace in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues are out there that are facing people today because it's our goal to both work with employers and employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. And remember, as always, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we always will be going live at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, except for Conversations for Humanity on Wednesday, which we have a 15-minute meet and greet session. And we would love to have you a part of the conversation, whether it be on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So if you see it in the LinkedIn Live or YouTube or on our Twitter page or on our Facebook business page, please comment on where you're watching from, or even if you're watching it on the replay, use the hashtag replay, and we would love to have that great and engaging conversation with you. And like I said, when you jump on, please let us know where you're chatting from. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, show topics, we would love to hear you too as well. So, good afternoon, ladies. How you guys doing today on Terrific Thursday?
Good.
Hey, doing great, Chris. How about you?
I am doing great. I'm raring to go. My ear have been calling like doing this today because I'm thinking Carla's got something good on the brain. I just feel it. It's in my ear.
You think I need to blow off some steam?
Well, that could be. That could be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I have to kind of taper myself, and that's what you do. When you listen to the radio in the car when you're traveling an hour to an appointment and an hour back, it's like, okay. So my big question for today is: has diversity training replaced basic humanity in the workplace?
Wow.
That's a good question, Carla.
Well, I called Chris this morning because I was so fired up about it. So I just couldn't get it off my mind. And yeah, I'm here, Cosmo. Right there. He's like one looking at me. So I was, I think I heard it, and then I turned around and I read it too about a particular company who will remain nameless. But and I actually went to the article and I went to their company website too. And so it says at X company, we win as a team. We work together to build a culture that represents every individual for who they are, values their contributions, and gives them opportunities to succeed. I don't believe our company or any company can succeed over time unless they commit to getting it right. I love that. That's great.
Yep.
Okay. They go on to say that inclusion and diversity are at the heart of our company culture, which I'm cool with that too. That's what we like. Providing an environment where every colleague can be themselves, embrace differences, and truly feel included is something we're very proud of and continue to work on every day as the world continues to evolve. When our colleagues feel supported and thrive, we all win. I'm like 100% for that.
Absolutely. Okay? Perfect.
But when you turn that around and start putting people in boxes and build your diversity training around deconstructing racial and sexual identities, that's where I'm like, that's totally opposite of what you espouse to represent with your company when you want everyone to be able to get along, no matter what their race or whatever. To me, there's only one race in this world, and that's the human race, okay? Different ethnicities. It's about who you are, your ideas, what you represent, everybody working together and rowing together as a team. But now you're putting everybody in individual boxes. And then when you turn around and say that you want them to rate themselves on their hierarchy of privilege, what happened to unity and getting along and knowing where you were?
And equality.
And equality. And this company, the thing that really caught my ear to begin with, and then it went downhill after that, is they started off the article saying that they brought somebody in from diversity training and they said capitalism is horrible. This company raised $2.3 billion, not last year, not in the last 6 months, in the last quarter. And you're telling me that capitalism is bad? I work for every dime that I earn. My husband works for every dime that he earns. The world is built around that things cost money.
That's right.
You're free to buy whatever you want. If somebody wants to go out and buy a $500,000 house down the road from me, go for it. It's not for me. You do you. I'll do me. But to put people in these boxes are exactly what day one when we started talking about all these different topics. I remember that was one thing that I started thinking about when you know, all this was kind of new to me. And we started talking about putting people in boxes. And I'm going, what is that you put people in boxes? I thought that we were all, you know, we're all in this together or rowing and growing together, you know? And then I learned what it was like to put people in boxes. And I was like, that's wrong. Totally wrong. So I'm like, what happened to humanity?
What happened to accepting people for who they are?
Yeah.
I mean, what difference does it make? I mean, I've said to you guys many times before, I don't care what color somebody's skin is. I don't care if their hair is curly
Well,
or
according to them, saying that is just completely wrong. You just don't understand.
right. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. The only thing I care about is, are you a good person? If you're a good person and you accept other people for who they are and so on and so forth, then I'm fine. I don't really care. I've never cared about the color of their skin. I don't even care what religion they are. It doesn't matter to me. I only care if they're a good person. If they're a good person, we're good to go. You know, it's just, and people should be accepting. I've never understood people who, just because someone's skin is black, they figure they're bad. I'm sorry.
No.
You know, that's just wrong. It's just absolutely wrong. And, you know, all these police forces that, you know, they go after the blacks. Well, I'm sorry. Just because somebody has black skin doesn't mean they're a criminal.
No.
It's just not fair. Yeah, there are some black people that are criminals. There's lots of white people that are criminals too. So what?
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm all about diversity, but I think to me, diversity training needs to be about learning about different cultures and learning about different religions and learning about different customs that people have. Because I mean, I did a lot of that when we lived overseas, because we had so many people from so many different countries that my kids grew up in an international environment, and they accepted people for who they were, not what their nationality was, not what their skin color was. We learned about all these different cultures.
Kids don't see it, Carla. I mean, they honestly don't. They just see another kid. And it's the adults that teach them the prejudice and the racism and everything, because kids don't. My kids went to a very diverse school. There were kids from Russia. There were kids from Africa. There were kids from China. There were kids from Greece. There were kids that were East Indian. I mean, it was a hugely diverse school. And what we used to do is we would have potluck dinners and lunches from time to time.
Yeah, we would have like Italian. We used to have international weeks.
Well, and some of them had restaurants, so they'd bring in, this wonderful food, and it was fantastic. And my daughter had 3 very good friends when she was in elementary school. One was Black, one was Japanese, and one was Chinese. And those were her 3 best friends. And I think I told you the story that, Elisa doesn't tan very well. She's very pale. She doesn't tan very well. And she was very jealous of Nicole because she always had this lovely suntan. And so I told her, I said, she doesn't have a suntan, she's Black. And she looks at me and she goes, no, she's not. She's brown. And I said, okay, well, people have brown skin like that. We call them Blacks. I said, she doesn't have a suntan. That's the color of her skin. So she goes, really? I said, yeah. But, it's fine. There's nothing, it doesn't make any difference. And I told you that a few days later, there was a school trip, and Nicole's mom and I both drove for this trip. So I took Wendy aside and I said, Wendy, my daughter's very jealous of your daughter. Wendy looks at me and she goes, what? And I said, well, she's jealous of her lovely suntan. So Wendy she just cracked up. She just bowled over laughing really hard. And I said, well, that's what she sees. She sees a lovely little girl with a beautiful suntan. Kids don't see the differences. They just see another kid. That's all they see.
Yeah.
And if they're a nice kid, so again, they're good to go. It's just it's adults that have all these, boxes, Carla, that where they put people. And it's like Lex, for example, Chris, he's Black. So what? I don't care that he's Black. He's a very nice man. He's a wonderful man. Mm-hmm. So why would I care that he's Black? Who cares? He's married to a white woman. His wife is white. She has blonde hair. But, it's just a matter of, I don't care. I really don't care. We have East Indian friends. We have friends who are Ismaili. We have, all kinds of different friends. I don't care. I really don't care. Again, as long as they're a good person, that's all that matters to me. I don't care about any of this other stuff. To me,
luckily, it's a lot more accepted now. Interracial, well, they call them interracial marriages, but to me, it's not interracial. It's different ethnicities, because there's only one race in my book. But and if somebody doesn't agree with me and thinks I don't understand, I'll have a conversation with them. But
well, and some of the kids that come from those mixed marriages are so good looking because the combination of the genes, it's remarkable.
When my kids were in high school, they had some Spanish friends. Well, in the South, there were Spanish friends. There were when they were much younger, they had Italian friends. They had French friends. They had Black friends when they were in high school. And I didn't need, if my daughter wanted to date someone of a different ethnicity, I was fine with it. And back then, if like someone that was in African American got married, I would be great for the couple, but I really felt sorry for their kids because I knew what a lot of adults would try to stigmatize that child, and I didn't like the idea that the child was going to be brought up in that kind of environment because I thought it was so wrong.
It's sad. It's just really, really sad, especially for kids. I mean, it's just a kid. Just say hi, little kid. Can I give you a hug? Would you like a glass of milk? I mean, I don't get it, Carla. I've never gotten it. I just don't understand it. And I think I told you it's because I grew up with my grandfather. And my grandfather used to tell me there are no bad boys and no bad girls.
Yeah.
And again, what goes around comes around. You're nice to people, they'll be nice to you. You're nasty, they'll get nasty back. I mean, those were the kinds of things that my Zeta used to say. And because I spent a lot of time with him, I just accepted all those things as a truth. And it turns out that he's right. I mean, he's absolutely right. It's just a matter of how are you living your life? How are you dealing with other people?
Well, look at all the people that we've dealt with in healthcare over the past 40 years. They're people first.
Yeah, exactly.
They might have different cultures and different ways of presenting themselves, and it's different than what we do here in the United States or what you do in Canada. But bottom line is that they're still people. And
Yale is a funny story.
Humanity and respect and kindness.
Yale is also a CA. and he went to one of these really big CA firms. And one of the other CAs that came in there,
That's certified accountant.
yeah,
Okay.
and was Chinese. And it was actually really funny because one of the senior partners says, well, it's really unusual. We have a Jewish guy and a Chinese guy. I don't think we've had, things like, people like that in our firm before. And so Morley and Yale looked at us, yeah, we're the foreign team. So,
that's funny.
And, Yale was from Calgary originally, and Morley was from Nanaimo, which is a town on Vancouver Island. They used to joke about this all the time because oftentimes they would be sent on jobs together. And unfortunately, Morley just died recently, but we used to see them a lot. They would come here and we'd go golfing on the golf course that we live on. And we used to go for dinner with them, and they were just a lovely, lovely, lovely couple. And Morley was very smart. And, who cares if he's Chinese? What the hell difference does it make? I couldn't care less. There's good Chinese and there's bad Chinese, just like there's good whites and bad whites and, whatever. What difference does it make? I really couldn't care less. We have a number of Chinese friends. I like them. They're smart. And, what happened in a couple of the schools that my friends went to, one of the high schools, there was huge competition. It was the same thing at the school my kids went to. Big competition between the Jewish kids and the Chinese kids, because in both their homes, the parents expect you to do really well. That's an expectation. And so there was always this competition between the Jewish kids and the Chinese kids. And my son ran for school president, but he ran against 3 Chinese kids. So they split the vote. So Mark got the presidency.
That's funny.
Well, and Mark still has some Chinese friends from high school that he sees. And, I even know some of the parents. And, again, who cares? Why would anybody care? It's just a matter of there are bad people in the world. There are. But it has nothing to do with the color of their skin or their ethnicity or their religion. They're just bad people. It just is what it is. But I think that most people in the world are good. And it's just a matter of looking at them from that perspective. And if you're nice to them and you support them and you encourage them, you get what you give.
Well, yeah. This article just really set me off because they say one thing about their company, and then after the events of the past year, they felt like that they had to put in an anti-racism initiative. Well, if you had been practicing what you were preaching all along, you wouldn't even have to put in that initiative.
No, absolutely not. I
was like, my husband was like, "You're really fired up about this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am."
Yeah.
You notice, and he says, "Well, what would you do if you're working in that situation?" And I said, "I wouldn't be."
Well, again, like very good friends of ours who
There's plenty of other jobs out there.
Their son got married not too long ago to a lovely, lovely young woman from Southeast Asia. And she's absolutely delightful. And so when they came to Vancouver, and they now live here in Vancouver, I had them over for dinner with his parents and with my sister and, a few other people. And we had a lovely evening. It was just delightful. She is lovely. She's just really and truly lovely. And Linda likes to go to the Writers' Festival that they have every year here. And she's taking Anissa with her and her granddaughter and another friend. And they're going for this Writers' Conference. And Anissa's really excited about it. I just saw her the other day because it was Linda, that's our friend. She lost her mother. I think I told you guys, her mother was 104 and a half when she died.
Wow.
But she also lost her husband recently. So in Judaism, a year after the person has died, you have a ceremony at the cemetery where the headstone is covered with a black cloth. And it's called an unveiling. And you go there and you say prayers at the side, and other people who want to tell stories can also tell stories about the person, and so on and so forth. And so Linda was there, and of course Anissa came with Daniel, And I hadn't seen her for a little while. So, I went over and talked to her and asked her how things were going and so on and so forth. And, it's just, I don't care that she's from Southeast Asia. Who cares? She's lovely. Absolutely a lovely, lovely person. And she's into art. And we have a lot of art in our house. So when they came here, Lisa was walking around, looking at all the artwork. And I said, "You want a tour?"
Wow.
She probably love that.
Well, you know what, Chris? Some people come in and they don't notice anything. I mean, it's just, whatever. But people who like art would find, even though our house isn't all that big, we have art everywhere. We have sculptures, we have paintings, we have drawings, we have, there's stuff everywhere, and it's all over my house. And that's because at one time we had a really big house. We had a 6,000 square foot house.
Wow.
But you see, my parents had an art collection, and Yale's brother in Toronto, he passed away. He had a big art collection. And Yale and I each had our own art collection when we got married, which we put together. And whenever we travel, what we bring back is art. That's always what we've brought back as souvenirs. So, when Mark and Kim got married, I have art storage under my staircase because in this house, we couldn't put everything up. So we took everything out from under the staircase and laid it out on the floor. And I said to Mark and Kim, "Pick whatever you want. You can take whatever you want from this." So Mark looked at me and goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, you can see it's not hanging. So, you can have it." And we have friends who are framers. And I told him, I said, I'll take it to Frida and Ron, and they'll ship it out to you. So whatever you want, or if you want to change the frame, I'll get them to change the frame and they'll ship it to you. So Mark said, "Okay." So they picked a few things and we took it down there. One thing they wanted reframed, but Mark and Kim didn't hang anything. So the next time we came to Toronto, the stuff was still boxed up. I said, "How come you haven't done anything to it?" "Dad hangs the art. We were waiting for Dad to come because that's his job." So Yale and I had to hang the art in their house, which is fine. Yale has hung art in friends' houses. He's really good at hanging art. It's just something that he has a knack for. And so he's even done it for friends. It's kind of funny, but that's okay. It's just, it is what it is. And same thing when Elisa moved into her new townhouse, we had to go over there and hang the art. So she didn't want to hang anything until Dad said it was okay.
So
Well,
Carla,
the thing
you
is,
looked at this article, I guess, or you did some research on today's topic. What really kind of motivated you to say, "Hey, I got to talk about this"? Was it the way that they actually said one thing and it was actually totally different for what it really truly is?
Well, what happened is I heard about what they were doing about the diversity training, and I started thinking about them putting people in boxes and segregating people and making you feel guilty for what you had in life and what you worked your ass off for in life. And then I thought, surely they couldn't, what was their original take on their culture, their company culture? And so I kind of, when I heard of it, I thought, I automatically said to myself, what in the hell happened to just decent humanity and kindness? And that's I talked to you about early this morning, Chris, about where are we going in this world that we're substituting the basics with diversity training and cutting people down and segregating them and separating them and making them feel bad for what they have in this world, as opposed to loving everybody and treating everybody with kindness and respect and decency and humanity. That to me, that diversity training is not the right angle to go at. I think if we're going to do diversity training, we need to be getting back to what our kids did in elementary school, Sandy, having international days and learning about new cultures and how people think and what they're like.
You should call it humanity training.
The Indian people lovely
I like
people.
that humanity training. I like
But
that.
when they say
Diversity training,
their heads going like,
humanity training.
okay, stuff
Yeah.
like that you need to learn.
Well, see, in here, we have a lot of Indigenous people, lots. Like I went to school with lots of Indigenous kids. And so what? Like again, who cares? Like one of the families, it was a big family. It's called the Sparrow family, and it's part of the Squamish Indian Nation. And many of them have been the chiefs of their nation. And the whole Sparrow family were patients of my dad. And I grew up with a couple of them because one of them is my age. And Leona also became a hygienist. And so, we used to see each other at meetings and everything. But I didn't care that she was a Native Indian. Who cares? I mean, she was just another person to me.
They put their hands on one leg at a time, just like everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, what difference did it make that she, was Indigenous? Who cares? I didn't care. She was a very nice girl, and we had so much in common because we both became hygienists. And, like, what difference does it make? In the end, you know what she did? You won't believe this. She's very smart. She became a lawyer because she decided that her tribe needed somebody to advocate for them. So she gave up her hygiene career and went into law, and she advocates for her tribe. She's an amazing person. She's just an absolutely amazing person. But she has a brother. She has an older sister. I mean, I know the whole family, and I don't care. I mean, it just doesn't make any difference to me. They're a lovely family. They're very nice people.
So let me ask you this then, Carla, of what you researched on today's topic about. Now, going back and thinking of your days in nursing, would this diversity training, quote unquote, would it have gone over well in the practice that you worked in?
No. I mean, no, we never separated anybody into their race, their sexual identity, their genders, whatever. We never did that. Now, healthcare in some respects does kind of categorize people, but that's more for like demographics, or if you're going to do research and you want to look at particular cultures and success rates, like for example, and fertility cycles or whatever, just different things like that. That I can understand, but to really pick people apart in the workplace and pit people one against the other, it's just not right.
It's not nice. It's just really not nice. Like, why would people do that?
The closest I ever came to that was I had someone that I worked with come out and said, that was just the weirdest conversation I just had with management. They tried to say that you and I don't get along. I said, what do you mean? We do stuff outside of work. So I've been in situations where people have tried to pit one person against the other.
Oh,
that's terrible. I mean, that's really terrible.
I've also been in work situations where all I've done is done my job. I didn't do it to outshine anybody else, but they thought that they would try and set me up because what I was doing and helping out other people and basically not letting dust sit underneath my feet when I was at work, it made the other person look bad. So they decided that their best way to do that was to try and sabotage me. Didn't work, but
some people are sick.
And I agree with Sandy when it comes to this diversity training. It really needs to be reframed, and that's what we'll show people, especially in corporate cultures today. It's about humanity training, because once we get back to the basics of humanity, it's like, where's the golden rule of business today? Do unto others that have done unto yourself. Where has that been? Because if we're going to go down this road, that we put Sandy in a box, Carla in the box, me in a box, and say, you have to identify with XX and word after whoever you. I mean, it's just like, I hate to bring it up. It's going to be a relevant topic because it is. When we get into these domains of the pronouns and verbs or whatever you want to describe yourself as, I think in no other time in human history that I can think of that has really been prevalent than it is right now. And I really believe the justice warrior mindset, so to speak, has literally hijacked what we really are standing for, not only in our own lives, but also in our lives in business as well. Because if you have to put he, she, them, they, whatever, after your name, just to be on the safe side of things, so it's almost like the cancel culture.
What, as in like saying I'm putting these pronouns behind my name because to show you that I'm accepting of everybody.
Right?
You should do that by your actions, not by the pronouns you have to put behind your name.
Right. I
How you
agree.
treat people. I mean, treat people, be respectful, be encouraging, be supportive, be acknowledging. I mean, none of these things are rocket science. They're not that hard to do. It's just a matter of deciding that you're going to be nice to people. And if you are, people will be nice to you. I mean, it's
Yeah.
how it works.
Yeah.
But people who are nasty and make you feel uncomfortable, you don't want to be around them. I mean, you just really don't. And if that's the boss, or if that's your manager, or even if it's some of your colleagues, doesn't make you want to go to work. I mean, you feel that they're going to be after you all day, or making you feel bad, or trying to kibosh what you're trying to do, Carla, these kinds of things. I mean, I'm sorry. It's just not a way. And in my opinion, it's a waste of time. It's just a total and absolute waste of time. Haven't you got anything better to do?
Yeah. No time to play games.
Yeah. I mean, why do that? Yeah, this is true, Chris. Doing the right thing is the right thing to do. You can't go wrong with right. And the truth is that if we are being nice to each other, and we are supporting one another, and we are encouraging each other, and we are thanking each other for helping, and so on and so forth, you're going to have such a much nicer environment where you work, and even in your own home, or with your friends or whatever. It's the same thing. Why would you want to be, causing problems? It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why people would want to do that.
Well, and also getting to know the people that you work with and the people that are in your environment, and learning about their culture. There's probably culture. There's probably some sort of holiday, some sort of culture in every month of the year.
Yes.
Golden opportunity to learn about other cultures and to be accepting of people.
Vancouver is one of the most diverse communities anywhere. We always have different kinds of festivals going on, and sometimes there are parades, and there are food fairs, and there's entertainment that comes to town that's cultural as well. And it gives you a great opportunity to see all kinds of things without going anywhere. In terms, you don't have to travel to these countries. You can just see them in your own backyard. And it's really cool. I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, Vancouver has, we've got fabulous Indian restaurants, fabulous Chinese restaurants. We have African restaurants, with stuff that, you would only get in Africa. We have French restaurants. We have Italian restaurants. We have Spanish restaurants. We've got, Jewish delis and, places where you can get that kind of food if you're looking for it.
I love Jewish delis.
There's everything under the sun here. I mean, there really and truly is everything under the sun here. And what Yale and I like to do is we like to go to ethnic restaurants because I don't cook most of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really nice to be able to go out and have a really nice meal that's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you necessarily make. And I mean, my kids like spicy stuff. And so when I was away, and they like, making different kinds of things. So when we went to China, I brought home like about 10 kilos of spices. When I brought home, my husband said, "What the heck are you doing?" I said, "Well, the kids will like it." And they did. They were so excited. It was better than anything else that I brought to them, was to bring them, these. And we went to, in Thailand, we went to a spice market, like just different kinds of things that we've got Thai food here too. And it's just, to me, I love it. I mean, we just love going to different kinds of restaurants. And we have a lot of friends who like to also. And so, we'll go to different kinds of restaurants. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were in India, one of the places that we went, they had one of the chefs from the big hotel do a cooking demo for us. And they have spice markets in India. I mean, it's unbelievable. That's what I brought home, all the stuff for the kids. And they talked about the kinds of ingredients that went into some of these dishes. And it was just remarkable because a lot of it is local. And depending on where you are in India or in China or wherever, the food is different because it depends what's available. And there's different styles of Chinese food and Indian food and so on and so forth. We had such a good time in India because one of the things they did is every time we went out for dinner, we went to a different Indian restaurant. And at the end, they made us vote on which one we thought was the best. But it was so interesting and it was so fun. And, I mean, the Indian people couldn't be nicer. I mean, they really appreciate the tourists. Yeah. And so they were all very friendly and very accommodating in any way that you could imagine. And we stayed in the Taj line of hotels, which is former Maharaja palaces that they've turned into hotels. You can't believe these buildings, you guys. They're just amazing.
Wow.
And we had an absolutely amazing time. We really did. It was so cool. I mean, there were certain things that they told us that you can't do because you'll get into trouble. Like they told us not to give stuff to some of the kids that were begging because the older kids would come and beat them up and take it away from them.
Yeah.
And also if they saw that you were giving things away, we would get swarmed. So we, even though we wanted to do it, we didn't because they told us it was dangerous for us, dangerous for the kids, whatever. And it was just sad because I explained to people when we came back from India, I said, India is like a roller coaster of emotions. Because one minute you're standing there, and, wow, look at that. And the next minute you're going, because there's such a range of what's going on. And I felt really sorry for all these kids that were begging on the street. It's so sad. But that's what they have to do for their family because, they just don't have a lot of money.
When I was in school, I worked with a physician who was Indian, and she and her husband came from India. I forget what region it was, but she was explaining to me that all the regions were different. They all had different dialects. They all had their different foods. It's just like Italy. I mean, you go to Italy and you eat different foods in different regions. But she said it's a beautiful country, but there's so much poverty there.
It's terrible.
Incredible.
When we went to the Taj Mahal, we went twice. So we went in the daytime, and there were literally thousands of people there in the day. But we went again the next morning so that we could see the sunrise over the Taj Mahal. Mm-hmm. And we got some gorgeous pictures. And of course, there were very few people there early in the morning. But it was really nice to see. The gardens there are amazing. And, there's some incredible buildings in India. We had a terrific time there. We really did. It was just such an interesting trip. We were in some private homes. We rode on camels. We did all kinds of very interesting things while we were there. And it was so cool. I mean, the markets that we went to were fascinating and the guides were all really good. And, but they told us when we went to some of these markets, you have to be very careful if you're going to buy something because make sure that you see that they put it in the bag. Because otherwise you'll get back to the hotel and you won't have what you thought you bought. They told us. Wow. And there were a couple of people that that's what happened. So the guides had to go take them back to the market and, get what they had originally paid for. But it's a fascinating place. And Thailand's a fascinating place. I mean, we had a lovely time in Thailand. And we've been to Japan, we've been to China. Neil and I have done a lot of traveling. And the world is just, it's an amazing place. It just really and truly is. When we went to Australia, we rented a car and we drove to all kinds of places in Australia, which was really cool. Australia is a cool place. The people are very friendly in Australia.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
Very friendly. Like Gail and I were standing on a corner trying to figure something out. People came up to us. What are you looking for? Can we help you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, I think if people had more of an international experience in their life, that they would be more open and accepting of all different cultures around the world.
mhm.
Yeah. The same, we went to Kenya because
So let me ask you this then, Carla. So let me ask you this then, Carla. Can the company, or well, give me your thoughts on this. I'm going to frame it this way. Do you think the company you did the research on today, do you believe if we was to go in there and consult with this company, do you think that they would embrace what we're proposing to them in their diversity training when we're coming from a place of humanity? Do you think they really would embrace that, or do you think that they are now maybe a lost cause, so to speak? What would be your take on this company?
I would hope that they would. And I'm a very positive person, but there's a part of me that would say that they don't want to rock the boat and they want to go along with the rest of the world. Because if they had even upheld the principles that they had already established as a company, why would they even have to do this diversity training? If they were walking the walk and talking the talk, they wouldn't have needed to do this and put people in boxes.
It's true.
I agree. And do you feel that is it for them to do it the way that they're doing? So it's almost like I was sharing with you this morning. It's not like the French Revolution years ago when they had the French Revolution. When you thought that you were not going to get hit with the guillotine and you thought you were safe from the guillotine, you ended up still getting at the very last second saying your head's in the guillotine. You're telling them, "Hey, I'm still on your side. I'm still on your side." Do you believe that that's what that probably they're doing? They're doing it for so they don't get kind of like their brand kind of chopped off at the knees, and they have to do it because they want to save themselves.
From what? Saving themselves from what, Chris?
Yeah, I'm trying to connect that analogy with what they're doing.
Well, what it was, see, like I said, back in the French Revolution, if you wasn't on the side of the revolutionaries, you were basically ostracized and everything. So when they say offer your head, it's because they would literally come for those people that was in not in agreement to where they're coming from. So if you weren't in agreement with the French and what they're doing from the revolutionary standpoint, then there was no use for you.
Are you saying they're going along to get along?
Like I said, I think they're doing it probably to save their own skin.
From what?
Well, you got to remember
What are they
with
doing
all
there?
these social justice warrior kind of mentalities that's been going on in a lot of our businesses today, they have to make it right when in fact it's not. It's like what you've researched today with this company. If they really was doing the right thing, they would need to do this diversity training in and of itself.
Right.
You know, and that's what I'm thinking. What if this is not, and I don't think this is the only company that is doing this.
Oh, they're not. They're not.
Yeah, and that's why I truly believe if you are doing the right thing
Left out stuff for you to make one.
right from the very get go,
Left out stuff
you
for
didn't have to conform to someone else's model of the world, so you'll be safe from that. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, if they've been
They
doing
won't come
what they've
after
already
you.
been doing, they could have said, "Hey, we're already supporting other cultures."
So why do we have to change?
Yeah, the key word to me here is race. There's only one race. What are the other races? There's the human race. What are the other races? Yeah,
Well,
we're all of different
to
ethnicities.
me, when
We're
we
all
bring
people.
when we bring the race card into to our workplaces as it's being done right now with especially this one company, I think what's happening it's creating the construct that you're not worthy enough for being who you are. Number one, it's just like, I hate to say it, it's like if we're going to put people in boxes and saying, hey, that you have X and X privilege because of your skin color, then why do we even bring that up? Is it going to be of any consequence that saying, hey, because I'm XX in color, I'm not going to be diverse in my organization because I have said skin color? I have I don't give a flying
Flip.
whatever. I don't. I'm gonna be nice about it. I'm gonna be nice. I'm just gonna say something pretty bad, but I'll be nice. You know.
It's okay, Chris.
But
Rhymes with duck, right?
yeah. But but see, that's what's happening. We are literally undercutting and undermining what we were standing for decades earlier. We are literally, in a short time span, have literally undercut the human connectedness of who we are because we want to feel safe. We don't want, like I said, we don't want the revolutionaries to come get us, so to speak. So we won't be cut off with our own heads for not doing what they want us to do. You know, so we have to conform to what they say, and I don't believe in that. I believe, like I said, doing the right thing is the right thing you do because you can't go wrong with right. And if you do the right thing, not only does respect is not only given, but it is earned, and also it transcends the very organization that you are working for, whether it be ABC Plumbing or XYZ Stationery, whoever that might be. That goes to the very fabric of that community of people because, number one, the very same community that we live in is the very same community that we work in. So, in and of itself, Carla, for what you're presenting us today, is literally is undercutting that very narrative to begin with. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Doesn't make any sense, Chris. I mean, it really doesn't. You know, to fit in, you got to do stuff that you don't believe. I mean, I'm sorry. It doesn't work. People are entitled to their opinion and their perspective on things.
Mhm.
They should be respected for it. You don't have to agree with them necessarily, but you shouldn't be discounted just because you're not on the same page as somebody else. It's not really the way the world should be. People are entitled to their perspective, and it's often based on their own life experience, and everybody's life experience is different. So they are entitled to have their perspective on certain things. It's just like I said about Brian. That's why I like him in these conversations, because he always has
Yes, we do.
a perspective on things. And I think that's good because it makes us stop and think, oh, I never thought of that. Well, I don't know if I agree, but I can see where he's coming from.
Or gee,
No.
I never had it that way before. Yeah.
It's just a matter of, people are entitled to their opinion and their perspective on different kinds of things, and we need to be respectful of that.
Correct.
Again, you don't necessarily have to agree with them. That doesn't matter. But they are entitled to have their perspective because it's probably based on their life or their culture or whatever. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, it's another opportunity for us to learn something. So I don't know why people should be discounted just because they don't believe what you believe.
Mhm. Well, I figured that the only privilege I have is the fact that I was allowed to open my eyes and live in this world today. That's the only privilege I have. And that's a
Okay.
God-given privilege.
Yeah,
each and
and
every
it's a
day.
privilege we all have, and we should take advantage of it in a positive and respectful way. I mean, and I don't see why we can't. It's not that hard. It's really
It's not
not.
rocket science.
And see, I consider myself no better or no worse than any other person, whether to be in a Fortune 500 company or they are in a mom and pop's store, whatever. I am no different or no better. And see what we have. I truly believe what we have, like I said, literally have done within the past maybe 18 months. We have literally set ourselves back in the culture aspect to such a degree. Not only would our younger generation be affected by it, because I think they already are affected by it in one way, shape, or form. They're already there because they don't. I won't. Well, I won't say they won't do it, but I think what's happened with a lot of our younger generation right now is they don't know what they don't know, and what's happened with that is it become too politicized, too social justice minded. That again, if you don't follow that narrative or whatever, then it's going to be off with your head, whether it be on social media or anything else. And that, to me, literally is, like I said, deconstructing what humanity is all about.
Yeah,
And once we deconstruct our humanity, then what do we have left?
exactly. We're in deep trouble.
We would be in deep trouble. Well, Sandy, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I think we're on that precipice right now. I
Yeah,
think
I
we're
agree with you.
really close that we're teetering
Yeah.
on our societal problems have gotten to the extent that it's filtered into our businesses in such a way that it's become a poison to a certain degree. I believe. I truly believe it has literally become a hotbed of division and hate to a certain degree. Because if we're willing to get along with each other for who we truly are, not because based on our skin color or where I wear or how I wear my hat or whatever, what I look like, to me, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is, again, I will go back to what Dr. Martin Luther King said years ago. It's not about the content of the melanin content of our skin. It's the content of our
Yeah.
character that really is what really makes us who we are.
We've
Yeah.
done a complete 180 on that. And he's
Yeah,
rolling over
I
his
truly
grave.
believe we have. And
Agreed.
why have we let these companies dictate to us as individuals the saying that you have to write this? I mean, they're even. I'm even seeing now in the higher education sectors, like in like in colleges, they're literally pitting people against one another. I've even seen it on there's a YouTube video that I've seen. It's a guy out of I think University of Pennsylvania. That he's literally doing the narrative of the race baiting kind of culture and saying, hey, if this person is white, what makes them better than you? You know, and you can look it up. I mean, there's YouTube videos on things like this, and to me, like I said, it's setting that I believe it's the setting the ugly precedent that our companies will become a de facto breeding ground for division, irreversible race relations, and and it's starting, like I said, with what Carla brought to us today. If this company can make that much money in a quarter, say that number again, Carla. What was that number?
2.3 billion.
They did this in a quarter, and this is a U.S. based company. But yet, they're telling us as individuals that we have to change the way our thinking is. No,
Well, and Chris, you also have to remember that a lot of that racism and, diversity training, if you will, okay? Kids are like sponges and they soak up everything because, again, kids just see other kids. They really don't see any of the things that adults apparently see. So if they hear, oh, that's a black person and, black people are bad and, all this, that's where they get their information. They get it from the adults, and the adults are teaching them the racism and all this stuff. So you have to be very careful around kids, the words that you use and the attitudes that you have, because kids soak it up, and then that's how they'll behave. So if you are a person who is accepting of other people and your kids grow up in an environment where that's how it is, then you're going to have kids that aren't going to be racist because they're used to dealing with different kinds of people. I mean, both my kids have friends of every, you just can't imagine, every different whatever. And that's because that's how they grew up. It was never in our house, you can't be with that person, or that person is bad, or whatever. It's just, that's never the way it was in our house. It's never the way it was in my house when I was growing up. And I told you I hung out with my grandfather all the time, and he certainly didn't have that attitude. So it's, what are we teaching the young people? Because then we're turning them into racists and, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they're the ones that are going to carry this on. So if we're teaching them the wrong things, then we're going to have this result. But if we teach them to be humane, we teach them to be respectful of one another, and to be encouraging and to be supportive and to just be nice, then there's no reason why they won't be, because they will.
That's a good call to action.
It sounds like, I was just going to ask what your call to action was, and I think you just nailed it.
Well, I think that, I'm very careful around my grandsons, just like I was careful around my own kids. You don't use swear words around them because they'll pick it up. Mm-hmm. And you don't express opinions or attitudes that are, really not nice, because the kids pick it up. And then
you shouldn't really be expressing them anyway.
Well, that's right, Carla, but people do.
People do, yeah.
And the kids hear it, and so then they think, well, the adult said that, so must be true. Yeah. So it's a matter of, what are you teaching them? Yeah. And if teachers do this, it's really bad. And there are some teachers who do it. Pardon, Chris?
Yeah. And for me, from a leadership perspective, when it comes to this topic today, my call to action will be is start leading with your humanity. Point blank.
Absolutely.
Start doing the right thing, because if you know it's the right thing to do, you can't go wrong with right.
Exactly.
Start doing the right thing. And like I said, if you let people be for who they are and nothing more, nothing less, then accept that. Don't put them in a box and saying that they're one way when in fact they're not. And see, that, like I said, that sets the whole thing backwards. And we shouldn't be about that. We should always to be striving to be better.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you. I couldn't say it better myself. We've got to bring humanity back in and do away with, and we have to bring humanity back and treat people with kindness and understanding each other and each other's cultures, and none of this diversity stuff. We're all diverse. We're all unique, but we need to embrace that uniqueness and start to understand one another, not divide each other.
Exactly. I mean, it's an opportunity to learn different things. So why wouldn't you learn about somebody's culture, or about the different kinds of food that they eat, or, whatever. It's an opportunity to learn some new things. So why wouldn't you want to? And, just because a person is Black doesn't mean that they're bad, because not every Black person is bad. But, in some places, that's what they think. And it's a horrible thing to think.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't work that way. I know quite a few Black people. I don't know any of them that are bad, to be honest with you. The ones that I know are all pretty good and pretty nice. And so to me, that just doesn't make any sense that you lump them all together, that, they're all criminals. No, I'm sorry, they're not. It's not how it works. Yes, some of them may be, but some white people are, some Asians are, some Russians are. I mean, it doesn't matter what the background is. There are bad people everywhere. So what? Doesn't mean just because there's some bad people somewhere that everybody there is bad. No.
There's a lot of good people in this world.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I think that you need to pay attention to that.
Yeah. So, ladies, what another great and engaging conversation that we brought up to our viewers today. And just like I said, just lead with your humanity every day in every way. And we'll see you next Tuesday for Sharing Care with Sandy. You guys have a great day. Make it your day, and we'll see you next week.
Great weekend, everybody.
I won't be there next Tuesday, Chris. I told you. My friends are taking me out for a birthday lunch.
Good for you.
Well, Wayne, go enjoy.
Enjoy it.
Okay.
All right. See you later, everyone.
On Monday at the leadership thing. So.